All right, final game we're going to talk about here because we'll have a full breakdown of Monday Night Football in a separate video. The Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are sitting 6.5 to 7 point favorites in this one. So has fallen under a touchdown. People are back in the Packers in this thing. 46.5 is your total. Adam, we know Packers season over, so nothing to really play for at this stage other than, the old pride thing, if you will. And then the Eagles, take what you will about that game last week, but they fought back and won it, right? I mean, like there's something to be said for not playing your best and coming from behind and winning a game. People seem, though, to think that 7, which, by the way, when we started this podcast, it was 7 across the board. Now, 4 books have moved to 6.5. So a lot of people must have been a release or something like that from a group on the Packers at the full touchdown. What do you think about the Packers heading to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles?
The only reason that this spread is not more than a touchdown is that the Eagles lost Jordan Davis and the run defense has been rough no matter how many old fat guys they sign. And because Green Bay had one of the flukiest comebacks of the season against the Dallas Cowboys. You know that I have been anti-tease down for most of this year. But man, if you're still looking at 7, if there ever were a spot to tease down, I think it's this one with Philadelphia at home against a Green Bay team that last week against the Tennessee Titans looked horrendous, and which is how Green Bay has looked for most of the season. And they were down 28-14 against the Cowboys. We should be talking about Green Bay as one of the worst teams in the NFC right now. And because they beat Dallas, we're not quite there yet. But this team is not good on either side of the ball. And my question to anybody who's taking the points with Green Bay is, what is it that you think they're going to be able to do against the Eagles defense? Do you think they're going to go Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, just pound the ball over and over and over again against Philadelphia and be able to complete drives? That's fine if you do, but I don't see it happening. I think the Eagles have had time to scheme a little bit against this run defense. They've now had Linval Joseph and Sue in the building for a full week to be able to figure out what they can do against the run. And with the cornerbacks that the Eagles have, how are the Packers going to move the ball in the air at all?
Yeah, one of those things here, guys, too, just because I'm doing a little messing around and Steven, just because I think this is good for us to talk about, right? So let's just say we talked about those, if you played 7-point teasers, which I typically don't, but a 7-point teaser in that 49ers and then Eagles, which would bring the Eagles to pick and 49ers to under 2.5 is you pay minus 140 typically for these 7-point teasers. If you just play the money line in both of these games, then it's like minus 143, right? So just keep that in mind whenever you're messing around. Sometimes with these, you can just play money line parlays and you get basically the same price as some of these more exotic teasers and non-traditional teasers and all that. So again, you can play 49ers money line, Eagles money line, comes out to minus 143, as opposed to even messing with the 2.5 with the 49ers. You don't have to even worry about that. It just takes it out of play and you're paying 3 more pennies. That is certainly the way to go when we look at this. Anyway, this Eagles squad is, to me, still one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. Maybe not quite as good as we thought. That being said, look, A.J. Brown got a little dinged up the last couple of weeks. I don't know if he's completely 100% healthy. So I don't know if they're firing on all cylinders. So I do wonder if we're penalizing them a tad because they're not necessarily at full strength. And I do believe, though, that this Packers team is toast. I don't think that there is much here from a firepower standpoint and even from a defensive standpoint. What do you think about, let's call it 6.5, because that seems to be where this number is headed.
First of all, I've downgraded the Eagles slightly. They are not the number 1 team in the NFC in my mind at this point. And I'm not sure they're even the best team in their division at this point, to be honest with you. I think I have enough red flags where I think I have Dallas slightly ahead of Philly. And let's not forget, when Philly beat Dallas, Dak Prescott didn't play in that game. So I hear what Adam's saying, but to back the Eagles here at 6.5 is a big number when you consider the numbers here. And just, I think Adam's talking about like, will the Packers actually go run heavy when Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback? And I think that's a fair question. But if they do, the Packers are number 4 in rushing success rate and the Eagles are dead last. So they do have the ability to run the ball. And the Eagles have to show us that they have fixed the rush defense before I believe it. We haven't seen it yet, and they have failed to cover numbers and lost outright to Washington in that situation. And the more you run the ball, the more you shorten the game, and the harder it is to cover a big number like this. Packers are 31st in situation neutral pace this year on offense. On the other side here, Jalen Hurts against the blitz is a concern for me. And the Packers have the number 2 blitz rate in the NFL. And the Eagles, despite having what we thought was one of the best offensive lines on paper, Jalen Hurts isn't helping very much because they're number 21 in adjusted sack rate. They're number 13 in pressure allowed. So dating back even as far as last year, we've seen Jalen Hurts has struggled when he's facing the blitz. Those are enough concerns for me to not want to back the Eagles at this point at such a big number like this to have to win by a touchdown. But they certainly do have a couple of matchup advantages themselves, including running the ball on this Packers defense as well, which is also very, very bad at stopping the run. So, hey, maybe it's a prop situation where I'm looking at rushing yard totals here because both of these defense are really bad at stopping the run.
Yeah, I think if this thing can hit 47 for us, and look, it's a Sunday night football game, right? So typically overs get bet. I would play the under. If it got to 47, I think I would come in, play the under here. I do think couple run heavy approaches. I don't have a ton of faith in the Packers team being able to get this thing in the end zone. And the Eagles the Eagles are sitting here at a team that is going to be playing against a Packers team that is not dead last. I think they're second to last in situation neutral pace. So like you're going to get a team that wants to play super deliberate, maybe takes away a possession or two from the Eagles just because of how slow they play, all that. So I think we'll get the 47. So by the time it's all said and done, so I'll say under 47.
The Eagles take their foot off the gas in the second half too when they have a lead. So we've seen that over and over again. They don't extend leads the way the Buffalo Bills do if they find themselves in front.